Yeah,
But
well,
they want 1 cent
it's a
back.
good desk reference. Yep.
When you're using that double equals single, if you're using a double equal, then you're basically diverging into an option to different
Well,
conditions.
no, it's not that. It's not. When you use double equal, it's really just answering a question, true or false. But then it depends on the context of where it appears. In most contexts, it is used to make a decision: should I go this way or the other way? But there are other contexts as well. Yep.
Is Boolean algebra of any use to programmers? I mean, useful to
Boolean algebra is useful. Yes, Boolean algebra is a very useful subject, not only for people who write programs, but also for computer engineers, electrical engineers. It's just going to be very useful. Highly recommended, but not required in many curricula. Yep. All right. Can anyone guess, why there are books like this?
Because people get really fed up with program.
Yes, because especially people who use C and C++ as their first programming language. Okay, C and C itself, okay, was not intended as an instructional programming language. Okay, it's kind of like putting you behind the wheels of an old truck, with manual transmission and no synchro mash, and say, this is what you're going to use to learn driving. And by the way, we'll start with a hill. Okay. Okay. The first exercise is to parallel park backing up a hill using a truck like that. No synchro. Okay. Which means you'll be grinding the gear a lot. Okay. That's what C is equivalent to when it comes to instructional language. Or airlifting you in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and drop you off and say, learn how to swim. Good luck. Bye. Okay. Instead of putting in the wading pool, and go, okay, you can dip, it's impossible to drown. Just go ahead and have fun. Just get used to the water. That would be Pascal. Okay, Pascal was designed with that in mind. It's an instructional programming language. C was never intended, for that purpose. So just to give you a little bit of the background, which you probably will get again in cisp360, C particularly was a programming language written by hackers for themselves. Okay, it was the two guys who wrote the Unix operating system, deciding that writing everything in assembly language was no fun, and they decided that, well, maybe we should make a tool for ourselves to make programming, more, efficient. So they wrote a programming language that was extremely concise, okay, and extremely cryptic for anybody else. But since they invented this programming language for themselves, they said, hey, as long as I can understand what I mean, it's good enough, right? And then for some reason, it became the de facto standard of programming languages. Okay. One of the guys who wrote Unix, and he's one of the key person behind the C programming language. I think he passed away within like 2 weeks that Steve Jobs did. Okay, and nobody knew, nobody cared, right? Everybody remember, oh, Steve Jobs, he passed away, and and you can buy all the iPad, iPhone, covers and whatnot with his picture on it and stuff like that. People just know that, oh man, he's an icon of the computer industry. He changes the entire thing. But you know what? Without the other guy, who's kind of probably a weird guy, kind of old and kind of not very attractive. Without Unix, without C, there would not have been any iOS. And people just forgot about, well, most people don't even know the history, okay? But even within people who know history, like the entire computer science department, not a whole lot of people make comments on, oh man, that person, passed away, and he is the father of, Unix. Because iOS, which is what's running on your iPad, iPod, and iPhones, iOS is derived from, has BSD as the foundation, and BSD is Unix, which ties directly in to C programming, because C programming, or the C programming language, was invented for the sole purpose of making Unix, writing Unix, make the development process more efficient. Okay, so here's a little bit of history, that most people do not know, and it's a little bit of a digression from this class. Yep.
So what's the language you would recommend learning first then? Would you say?
Visual Basic is not a bad one. As much as I do not like, some of the things that Microsoft do, Visual Basic as a programming language and environment is not bad.
What about like Python?
Python is okay, but Visual Basic is far more visual. The other one that I would use is called Scratch. This is also something that you can look into. I wouldn't invest too much time right now because Scratch 2.0 is coming up really really soon. They have the beta version available already, and okay, I can actually launch it because I have it included in my distro. This is Scratch. When you program in Scratch, it's almost like you're just either drawing something or you're in a game. Okay, it's an environment that looks like this. So to write your program, you just go to different tabs here, and what you do is you just drag and drop different things. Okay, to make a new variable, you just click new, make a new variable, and for now I'm not going to explain what is a sprite and which options I should select. You just say I want to make a new variable called x. Okay, and now you have variable x. This is the assignment statement. It says set x to a certain value. So it's the same thing as our left arrow. This is the left-hand side, which variable am I changing? And this is the right-hand side, what am I changing it to? So if you want to say x gets 0, this is what it is, set x to 0. If you want to increase x by 2, well, okay, that one I have a shortcut here because they have changed it by a certain amount. But you can also do it this way. You can say x gets x plus 2, except in this case you cannot just type x plus 2. You have to use operator, get the plus operator and stash it to the other side, go back to variables, and drag x to one side, and then type 2 on the other side. So you can see this programming is entirely drag and drop. Okay, the only time you type is to type in literal values. Okay, 0, 10, 5. Those are the things that you type. But for everything else, you just drag and drop. Okay. And from time to time, I can go back to this programming environment just to kind of let you know what you can do with this environment that is equivalent to the concept that we are talking about in the class. This is even better than Visual Basic because there's no syntax to learn. Okay, you cannot make a syntax mistake and have the environment to come back and say, I don't understand what you mean by this, because everything is drag and drop, and if something does not fit in a particular spot, it won't let you drop. So that's the syntax, checking,
Right.
relative to this environment. And as even more digression, you can go to beta.appinventor.mit.edu. Reading, and it wants me to sign in. So you do need a Gmail account to use this particular resource. But it's really cool. It's really, really cool. It's using something that is similar to what I just showed you, which is, where is that tab? It's similar to this, drag and drop programming. But it applies to mobile devices. So you can actually do your Android programming using an interface that looks like that. Now the downside is this is a web-hosted application, so you need connectivity to the web all the time in order to do programming. But the nice thing is it allows you to write apps, and you can actually upload it to your phone or any Android devices, either using a USB cable or even Wi-Fi. And that's why they require you to sign into your Gmail account, because your Android device is also tied into a Gmail account, and that's how it knows that this program goes to that device. Okay? But you can do drag and drop programming just like what I did, with this particular program. I'm teaching a class in the fall this year for app programming, for Android app programming, and I'm going to use this as an environment to kind of ease our way into app programming in that class. So for those of you who are taking this class right now, you'll be eligible. And if you know someone who wants to do Android programming, they can take Android programming class number 1 and P300 at the same time. It's just a co-requisite. It's not a prerequisite. So that's going to be a little fun class. Yep.
Is this going to coincide with Jai Young's Android classes?
No, but I don't think they handle the programming side. I think they handle mostly the design, graphic side, which I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there one being done for iOS? Or just
I'm not going to do one for the iOS just yet, because I want to see how this one goes first, So I'm picking Android because it's an open platform. And also this tool is only available for Android. It is not available for iOS just yet. Apple is very controlling. So even if MIT, the MIT team want to make an app like that, Apple may not even want people to have it. So it won't be available, and it will just get into big problems. So that's why it's only available for Android right now.
probably Berkeley will get first dibs.
Sorry?
I said probably Berkeley will get first dibs.
I don't know. Well, Berkeley is closer to Apple. It's next to Cupertino, but Google is in Palo Alto too. Yeah, I actually met one of the supervisors of this project during the break. She came to San Francisco for a conference and was teaching a lot of people how to use this particular app Inventor. And it's really cool. I mean, you guys can go to the same place. You just need a Gmail account and hack away. It's really cool. For those of you who want to kind of learn how to do this, just click the Learn button here, or the Learn link. And it has full tutorials, step-by-step tutorial of how to use this app Inventor. So they talk about what it is, how to set it up, and the tutorials are particularly useful. And instead of Hello World, it has a Hello Perl, and it's just step by step. Go through the process, and you can learn how to do app programming. Really cool. All right, getting back to the boring stuff. But with that boring stuff, you cannot have the good stuff. That's the other thing. All right, so we'll talk about logical operators. Next. Okay. So we'll get back to this. All right. So we're moving up. We're getting to conditional statements here. All right. So what is a conditional statement? The conditional statement is basically a type of statement where, based on the evaluation of a condition, which means something will give you a value of either true or false. So based on the true or false, you make a decision. You say, okay, if it is true, I go this way and do these things over here. And if it is false, I go the other way and do all the other things that I specify with quote unquote the other way. But the key is, after doing either side, both branches will merge and continue to the next statement. Okay? So here is the logic to find the maximum of two variables. So if I tell you that I have two variables, one is called x and one is called y, I want you to find the maximum of the two and use z to store the maximum of x and y. This is the logic to do it. Well, if you think about it, okay, if I want to find the maximum of two variables, I can't really do it with just assignment statements. Because with just assignment statements, yes, I can make z the same as x, yes, I can make z the same as y, but I need to know